All right, friends, I think we are live now here on the YouTube channel. Again, I'm going to get better at figuring out how to get this thing hooked up, but it's not going to be today. So I believe we're live. If you are here joining me live on this broadcast, give me a little hello in the comment chat box to the what am I going to do? I'm going to do this way and it's going to go, no. So I think I got to go this way to actually point to the chat box there. So let me know if you are live and here joining us so that I can see your lovely faces. I'm so excited to dive in today because this is a continuation of a live stream that we did about 2.5 weeks ago now. And 2.5 weeks ago, we set up sales retargeting ads live. And so those sales retargeting ads have been running low-key in the background for $1 a day for each of the creatives. And so far, the ROAS has been amazing, which off the top of my head, I think it was like $27 we're getting for every single dollar spent on those ads. So huge celebration and shout out there. If you haven't checked out that live stream, you can hit that replay on this channel here. If anyone in the comments has a link to that or can get that, that would be amazing. And if not, I will link it after the broadcast. But here's the thing. I could keep running those $1 a day sales retargeting ads, but at a certain point, they're going to fatigue. There's going to be a need to bring more people into that pipeline, to get more humans basically going through the sales process. And so we know, especially in the internet marketing world where, some people sell high ticket, that the higher price product you're trying to get somebody to buy, the more likely they're not going to buy it on a spot. So for example, I am a partner in a brand in the baking niche, and we sell a cookbook. I can get people who have never heard of this brand before to purchase that cookbook literally from a cold traffic ad straight to the sales page. But when we're talking about products that are $4.97 or $9.97 or $2,000 or $5,000, it's less likely for those people to make decisions on the spot. I'm not saying it cannot happen, because it definitely can happen. I have seen it before where people are like, I literally didn't see anything about your sales process. I just saw your product itself and I made that purchase. But those are fewer and farther between. So what we're going to do today is we're going to start putting more attention through the entire sales process from start to finish, so that we're filling the lead pipeline as we go, right? There's going to be more people that are going through the back end sales emails, more people who are opting into whatever your lead magnet, your lead generation mechanism is, so that we can continue to follow up with them, not just with retargeting ads, but in our emails and our internal sales processes as well. Now, actually, let me grab one thing, as I forgot my water over here on the side. But we had a little hiccup this morning. So as I went to go set up this broadcast, I realized that Facebook shut my ad account down. So I'm going to take a few quick minutes and just let you know what I personally do in this scenario, because I think it's important to realize that running ads, you're always going to come up against something. Facebook's going to Facebook every single day, all day. And so the more that you can hear me talk through the way that I look at things, the way that I prepare for things, the mindset that I have as I'm going through that process, the easier it's going to be for you to realize hey, everything that comes up is just basically, I like to call them ad motions, ad fueled emotions. And as long as we're controlling the mindset around it and acting prepared and being prepared, then that's all we can do at the end of the day. That's all we can control at the end of the day. Whew, man, if I sound like I'm out of breath, it is because I am, 7 months pregnant or something right now. So my lungs are basically being crushed by this little nugget here. So here's the approach that I'm going to do. One, we're still going to set up ads today, even though I won't be able to publish them and take them live. So I'm just going to act as business as usual. Now, the reason this ad account got shut down is not because of something that I did. I didn't make a spammy ad. I didn't break Facebook's ad policies. Like, we always want to make sure that we're following the guidelines that they set out to use their platform. What happened was it was a brand new ad account, so it didn't have much spend. And what Facebook does is they slowly start to charge you as you're spending money. So it's like, I think my first credit card charge was $2.50. So $2.50 processed. Cool. Excuse me. The next day, $2.50 processed, right? So it's slowly adding up. And then all of a sudden, like, as it's building $6, $9, $15, now it's at $30. And all of a sudden that $30 charge wouldn't go through, not because it couldn't, like, there was plenty of room on said credit card. I think what's happening is my bank might be saying, hey, there's way too many transactions coming in from this, like, this vendor, this merchant. And so maybe we want to just approve it with you before we keep charging it. So I went in and I tried to get, like, Facebook to just process on the credit card. And as I did that, I think I did it 3 times in a row, and Facebook's like, 3 times in a row, are you sure, like, you're supposed to be doing this? Because this is not going through. And I'm like, yes, I'm sure. I just haven't called the bank yet. So there's so many different reasons our ad accounts can get shut down. Here's just a great example of, like, what I got hit with today. And so another thing that I like to do in general is actually have more than one ad account. Let me get my screen shared up here. I'm going to take you into the back of YouTube and then over into Ads Manager. So this guy here is the one that is disabled. So if I refresh it, I think I'm going to get that red error message that comes up in the top. Oh, maybe not, because I actually, oh, there we go. So your ads have stopped running, pay the amount due to continue running ads, but it won't let me pay the amount. So yada, yada. This is what I've now contacted Facebook. I've given them my bank statements. I've showed them that it's the proper credit card. Yada, yada. That might take a day, a 2, a week. But here is how I prepared for it. I actually have 4 different ad accounts under the same business manager account. So if this ad account is currently disabled, I can go in and I can actually choose one of my other ones and run ads from that. So this is basically my insurance policy. Now, I'm not going to show you how to, like, go in and set these up today. I'll just give you a quick, like, Cliff Notes version. I think we call them, like, Coles Notes or something here in Canada. Cliff's Notes. Do you guys use Cliff Notes version when talking about, like, the short form of something? Essentially, you just come over here into your business settings and you will add a new ad account as an asset to your business manager. So like I said, I've got 4 of them set up here so that I could switch through any of them. They all use the same Facebook pixel. So it's all, like, aggregating the same data. But this is a way for me to be like, hey, if this guy is having an issue right now, I can go to another one that's been seasoned. It has a much more ad spend than the, how much do we have over here? $91 in ad spend on this one, and I can keep running it. So that's really important, like, during the live launching season. Okay, any questions about banned accounts or anything there? We have somebody here saying, I had quite a few accounts doing that lately, just won't process my credit card. So lots of backup accounts. It's getting confusing. I bet it's getting confusing. But as you can see, like, it happens, right? Like, it's just part of running Facebook ads. Excellent. Keep the questions coming, guys. Let me know if you have them there. In the meantime, we are going to now set up lead generation ads. So for those of you who aren't familiar with my own sales process, let me take you through it and I will show you what we're going to be running ads to. So I have here on my homepage the first entry point into my sales funnel, right? So for me, I use a methodology called a multi-page pre-sale site, which means there's multiple pages in the landing page. Like, it's not just one single one. It's a methodology that was created by Andre Chaperone called Sphere of Influence. And so you come here, you read this, you click through to 6 different parts of the process, right? So page 2 is going to continue telling the story. Page 6 then is going to be where you actually learn about the product. So this here is page 6. And it's going to give you the opportunity to submit your name and email. So this is how people become new email subscribers. And for my personal sales process, we actually don't give away any freebies to join the list. You literally can request an invite to the paid program. That's basically the only way that I currently grow my list. So when you click the request an invite, this guy comes up here. So this is the main entry point. And if you have multiple entry points, I teach inside of my program to go through and to actually categorize each of your entry points by the earnings per lead. So ranking them the highest earnings per lead all the way down to the lowest, because the entry points with the highest earnings per lead are typically the easiest ones to start generating traffic with Facebook ads, because you have just that little bit more of buffer room there. So that's one way in. The second way in is the adstrategist.com/request an invite. This is what I'm going to describe in just a minute as our recovery ad. So anyone who started going through and reading this 6-page article, if they drop off anywhere along the way, I can retarget them with this ad that takes them to this request an invite page, where it's just a single page. It's got some testimonials on it. And then from there, it's just the request an invite. So the same process. So for me, there's 2 types of lead generation ads that I like to use. And the first one is called the eternity ad. The eternity ad is an ad that you can keep running over and over and over again, because, and I call it the eternity ad because, like, in this industry where things change at like lightning speed, this ad actually lasts forever. But the reason it lasts forever is because we're taking content that already works, but we're also not trying to scale it to the moon in 6 seconds. You'll see once we get to the budgeting side of the equation, like, my personal methodology is go low and slow, start layering in things, start stacking what's already working, so that you're creating like an ecosystem. You're creating a world around you that is pulling people into your pipeline and converting them into customers. So many times I see people just trying to go buck wild with Facebook ads before they even have a proven sales process, before they've even tested anything in terms of their social content or the conversion content that they're going to try and move people through their sales process with. I personally am a big proponent of ads only amplifying what's already working in a sales process already, right? Like, ads only amplify what is or isn't working in a sales process already. Now, that's not to say you can't have success if you haven't figured that out already. It just means that instead of spending your time promoting it on social media, instead of organically trying to get that attention and traffic to go through your sales process, to test the conversions and make sure it's actually resulting in sales on the other side of it, you're just going to use your money to do that, right? You have a hypothesis of, hey, this little ad over here is going to take them to this landing page, which then gets them these emails, which then offers this. And I've got, a few $1,000s of budget to test that theory out. And along the way, I'm going to be collecting the data and making iterations as I go. That's also a perfectly valid way to test an offer. Just for me personally, I love getting the revenue from the organic side of the equation, because yes, it took time to produce. Yes, it took money to produce in some cases, because we need Canva, we need Zoom, we need an iPhone to shoot video. Like, we need all these different things. And so it does have its own cost alongside of it as well. But like, I enjoy seeing the cash register ring a few times just to calm my own ad motions. Yes, the person who's run millions of dollars of ads for other people still has ad motions in her own ad account, and then start reinvesting that into continuing to have people in the pipeline. So the first ad, the eternity ad, is one that literally runs nonstop in the background. That's why I'm a fan of lower budgets that you can just go low and slow. The second ad, the recovery ad, is kind of like a conditional logic type of ad. So if somebody clicks from the eternity ad over to your landing page and they become a lead, awesome, right? Like we've paid for that lead now with the eternity ad. They're going to go into our sales process. But if they don't, what we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, Facebook, anyone who landed on this page but didn't become a lead, right? Like they didn't go off this pathway. They just went back to Facebook and kept scrolling. We're then going to place a second ad in front of them called the recovery ad. And that is going to get people who, you know, they might have been in the school pickup line. They might have been at a movie theater watching like the credits roll, or not the credits, the previews roll, and then all of a sudden the movie starts. I don't know what you guys do outside of this, but there's many reasons why people don't convert the first time they hit a landing page. It doesn't mean they'll never convert. I mean, look at my case. There is 6 pages of reading you have to make it through before you actually enter into something. So there is a high chance of drop off along the way. The recovery ad comes in, scoops up the people who started the process but didn't finish it, and gives them another chance to convert and become a lead. Okay, you guys following me? The eternity ad. This is usually where I like to scale a lot of colder traffic. Again, low and slow, but the colder traffic's going to come over there. And then the recovery ad is only hitting people who have interacted with you in a meaningful way. So those are the 2 ads that we are going to set up today. If you know about my particular process, what I typically like to do is go through all of my content. This is the back end of my Facebook page. Yes, I'm still on the old pages. I haven't updated to the new pages experience because like #nostalgia. I really like this format. So today I went through and I looked at all of my posts that had a link to that bro marketing article and all of my posts that had a link to this request an invite page. Okay, these are organic posts. I pulled them up here. I don't think I'm sharing the full screen. There we go. I pulled them up here and I started categorizing them. Is this an eternity ad? So is it sending to the bro marketing article? And then what is the click-through rate that I've experienced either organically or in some of these cases, I have amplified them with ads. Like this one, for example, I was running as an ad in the past. So it has more link clicks. But what I was most concerned with is ranking them just based on their click-through rate. So this one has a 7.33% click-through rate, which is insane. If an ad typically has like a 1% click-through rate, then you're likely to find some level of success with that ad. So when it's 7 times that, even better. Okay, and then from there, I have 5 that I found. I have 1 that didn't have stats with it, and then another one that needs a new CTA written. So I'll probably show us how to get these 5 up here done today. Maybe we won't have time for 5. And then I found 2 of the recovery ads, which then send people to the request an invite page. These ones have a lower click-through rate overall, but the beauty of these guys is actually that more people who hit this page ultimately become a lead because it's just one single page, right? Like there's less friction for them to go through to get that outcome. So I think the like conversion rate on this page is somewhere around like maybe 40%. Haven't checked in the last little while. The conversion rate of page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is 5%, I believe, of the people who start on page 1 ultimately make it to this final page and then give us their email address and go through that side of the equation. So I can have, where to go? I can have a much lower click-through rate over there to make up for that, if that makes sense. So these are the ads that we're going to do today. So I'm going to pause for questions. As you guys can see, my computer is definitely not plugged in. So I'm going to do that as we pause for some questions that you guys might have for today. And then we will get started on that. So Brittany says, hey, Brittany, she says, love Andre. I have this course, but I haven't gotten to creating it. She's referencing Sphere of Influence over there. And it is a beast of a course. There is a lot of juicy information in that course. And it did, I think I talked about this a little bit on the last live stream we did. Maybe it wasn't, it was on a Facebook post. I think it took me 6 months to produce that bro marketing article from start to finish there. Okay, we got plugged in. We got love the retargeting to a one pager. I think that's all the questions that we got so far. So you guys are with me. I love it. I love it. I love it. We're about to now jump into Ads Manager and get started on that. Keep those questions coming if you have them. I'm going to take a drink because holy hell, pregnancy brain, or not pregnancy brain, pregnancy breath. I can barely walk down the hallway without it going crazy. All right. So jumping back into the Ads Manager here, the first thing that we're going to do is set up the Eternity ad. So like I said, I'm just going to disregard this guy for now and go through the process, okay? The first thing that I typically start with is creating the audiences. And because this is a brand new ad account, we haven't created any of the audiences yet. So to do that, we click the little hamburger over here, we come over and then choose audiences. If you don't see audiences here, you can just scroll down and you'll find it in your actual list. I use audiences a lot, so that'll always pop up in my like short codes there at the top. So audiences are going to load because we already set these up last time, right? When we set up our sales retargeting audiences, we have some of our audiences already created. This is why I love stacking ads, right? Like you do a little bit, you set up the sales retargeting, and then you come back in and you do a little bit more. So this time we are going to be targeting anyone who has engaged with our brand basically across everywhere. Oh, apparently we're not, because I can't even create audiences. So let me go somewhere else. Let's see if this one lets me create audiences. Oh, this one will let me create audiences. Okay, so we're going to set it up in this guy instead. So as you can see, that was a limitation that if I only had one account, I would just be like, oh man, if I'm live launching, like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do now? So these guys, let's just pretend none of this exists here, and we're going to create an audience. So the first custom audience that I'm going to create is my website custom audience. Because remember, last time we already created our audience of all of our Facebook page engagers. So the next one I like to create is our website custom audience. So I'll go over there. I'll make sure that my pixel is chosen, which means you do have to have a pixel placed in your entire website, like site-wide, so that if they land on this page or they land on that page, it sends that information back to Facebook. Full disclosure, yes, some people opt out of it, so it's like not going to send every single human back, but like it's not going to exclude everyone. You're still going to get information from your pixel. So we're still going to set up our website audiences here. So Bond Digital Media, all website visitors, we're going to select the maximum time available. So for this audience, it's 180 days. I always hover here because it just tells you what it is, so you don't have to remember these things. So 180 days, which means anyone who landed on the adstrategist.com in any single one of its pages that pixel is placed on within the last year is going to be in this audience. So I'll do Taz. This is my brand code, so short for the ad strategist, and then I'll just type in website. Boom. Okay. The next one that I'll do that I just realized I didn't preemptively download this, so we won't be able to go all the way through it, is a customer list. Yes, Facebook says customer list, but this is their iteration of the email custom audience. Now, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not telling you what to do here, but when I upload this, I personally upload my email list because they have given me permission to email them by opting into my email system, right? So again, this is not my recommendation to do that. I'm just sharing what I personally do here. Instead of a customer list, I treat this as my email custom audience. Okay, don't come for me, Facebook. Maybe that's why the other one got shut down. It's not, trust me. So then I go through the process of just hitting next. And really, there's an opportunity here where if you have a list of customers that you want to create a lookalike audience from, which is just an audience of people who have similar attributes to the list of people you're going to give Facebook, you can give them the values that they've purchased, right? So it's you could give them the lifetime values, you could give them just their single product values, you could upload all of that, because Facebook then takes that information and then they try and match it with a gajillion other humans. It's actually a percentage of the population of the country you select that are most similar to the audiences that are in your source audience. So you can add values to that. But at this stage, we just choose next. We say, yes, there is a value, or no, there's not a value. In my case, if it's just an email list, I would put no. And then I might come back and do a separate one just for customers of a specific product and then say yes. So in this case, I would do no, move along, and then you can just upload a CVS or CVS. Isn't that a drugstore in the States? A CSV of the list of email contacts that you have. So you're just going to go in there, and then the next step is just going to be hey, if you have more information than just an email address, maybe it's a first name, a last name, a city, a state, I think phone number is one of them. If you have that information because you collect it when they opt in, you can also tell Facebook hey, that's what this information is. And then you just go ahead and upload it. Now, I would call this one Taz email. If I was uploading the list of purchasers, I would change this brand code to actually be the product itself. So the strategy system, and I would call it purchase instead of email, right? And if there was different price points, then you could be purchase VIP, or purchase $10,000, or purchase $47, whatever you need to realize what this audience is, so that you then, when you go to create source or lookalike audiences in the future, you can just see that information here at a glance. So that is the second audience we create. In this case, we're going to come back and do it again. This time, we are going to choose our Instagram account. So Instagram account's super easy to create. I just go through the process. I would do Taz, Instagram, engagement. I'm just going to copy that so we can do it again. The retention for this one is you can hit people a year ago. So it's think about it. People that interacted with my Facebook page a year ago can start to see these ads, getting them back to the bro marketing article and getting them back to request an invite, right? How cool is that? It's just going to continue to amplify this content and put new leads into the pipeline every single day. Obsessed. Okay. So then engagement's been created. We're going to repeat that process still with Instagram. Oh, did I do that for the wrong account? I think I just did it for the wrong account last time. So maybe I'll have to go back and check that. I then like to do followers, people who started following. So I'll just swap that out to followers. Create audience. Let me go back and see if I accidentally did. No, that one showed up right. Okay, cool. So that one was good. I'll repeat this 2 more times. So Instagram account, what is it? Choosing that one this time. Following, engaged, visitors. I do visitors. That's my 3rd one. Create that audience. There will be some overlap in these, but I like to segment them all out. We'll do it again 1 more time. And then who sent messaged, or Instagram DMs, I usually call it. Boom. So then we have all of our Instagram audiences of people who interacted in the last 365 days. We have our website traffic. We have our email list. Amazing. Then the last thing that we do, which I'm not going to do in full today because it takes so much longer. Well, not the last thing. I would first then check to make sure that you don't have any of these other things. So it's like, hey, did you host an event on your page? Actually, let me show you because I think I did recently. So I can go to my page. I think I can go to my page. Why are you not letting me click it? Oh, it was. I just wasn't scrolling down. Okay. So then look at, I hosted 2 live streams in the last little while, right? So I could check those because these ones were all a few years ago. So I'm going to select those. And then I'm just going to say people who responded, going or interested. Oh, shoot. You can even look at, I just realized this because I don't do too many events. You can target people who visited the event page. So even if they didn't sign up, people who engaged on the event page, and then options if you're like doing a paid event. So for me, I would do people who responded going or interested. I would create this as like event RSVP or something like that. So there we go. That's not one I typically add in, but I forgot that I had done that. So maybe you host events on your page. What else? Maybe you're using lead forms, which is a cool new way, not new way, man, it's been around since like 2015, a cool way to get people to sign up for your email list without actually needing like a landing page. So I don't have any lead forms. Let me go to this one. I'll have a lead form. So I would just choose like one of the lead forms here. And then I could say anyone who opened this form, who opened it but didn't submit, or who opened it and did submit, which basically I think if we just do this, it covers them all. So if you have lead forms that you're using, you can target those bad boys as well. And then on Facebook listings, like shopping, if you have any of these things, of course, create those audience. But the last one that I originally said is this video views audience. Now, where the heck did it go? Did I not hit the button right? All right, it's not letting me click the button. Let me take a quick break and see if there's questions as I try and get that back going. Aisha said, whew, I created an account just so I could comment to plug in your computer. I got it. I know. I was like, oh my God, it's so stressful when you forget to plug in your computer when you're live streaming. And I'm like, I got to admit that like, I'm just an asshat right now and completely forgot to do that. So yeah, you guys saw that one. Okay. So back into Ads Manager here. Shoot, when I only share that part of the screen, I don't think you guys can see me, which is like, I obviously am animated to like drive points home. So you need to see me in the bottom here. Let's see if it lets me click create audience. There we go. It's back again. So the last one we would do is a video audience. This one, there's so many different ways that people look at like video views audiences, because obviously the people who go deeper, like who watch more of your content are going to be, how do I even explain it? Like not explain it, but like they're going to be like more almost contextually valid, if that makes sense. Like they're going to understand things in a depth that others don't. For example, anyone who watches this live stream from start to finish is going to have a like bigger macro level view of what we're doing. Therefore, they're likely going to go into the strategy system as like a client and actually get better results because like, you know, it's not just in passing, hey, I popped in and Bond was talking about plugging in her computer, right? Like that's irrelevant, but the people who watch more are obviously like stronger leads. So you could say people who have watched like a larger portion of the video, you could do people who viewed at least 3 seconds of your video, right? Like they saw it in their feed. I tend to go on the larger side because I like to really infiltrate my warm audiences before starting to target cold. So like today, I'm not even going to set up the cold because I've spent since the start of the year cultivating a community of like 50,000 people engaging on Facebook. There's people that come to the website. Like I've got a decent starting point and I'm going to be running a low enough budget that I'm not going to exhaust those audiences for a while. So for me, I would set up 3 seconds of my video to start, and then we can get a little bit more advanced or use like if this, then that conditional logic with like exclusion and inclusion audiences in the future. Like if they watch this video, then show them that, then show them this, right? Like that's the strategy sequencing that you can create based on how you're interacting with people. And it all is based around these custom audiences here. So for me, I would do 3 seconds of your video. I would come over here. I would pick the Facebook page and then just one by one, like go and click each of these videos, right? So I'm not going to do the whole process because you literally have to go through, I don't know how many hundreds sometimes of videos. Yes, like you go page 1, page 2, page 3, and you click as you go. It's the most like arduous process. Like, why is there not just a choose all button? I don't know. Facebook. I wish there was one 4 years ago, but that's not the case. And then in some cases, like a brand that I work with, they publish so many reels, like sometimes multiple a day, that like I started separating out these audiences into years. So it would be like the brand code, video views 2023, because sometimes when you go like this audience, every time you post a video, you have to go back into it and you have to add that video. How, like, you know, how easy it is to set up the Instagram and Facebook audiences. Like, wouldn't you just think it would be that easy to set up your video things and say, hey, Facebook, just target anyone who watched at least 3 seconds of the video on this account? But that's not how these guys work. So go through, click them all, create the audience. And then that is basically the warm retargeting audiences. Remember, we have the Facebook page ones over in the other account. I think I already have them set up here. So yeah, I've got a few of them here. So we will then start setting up an ad. I'm going to see if it's going to let me do it in this one, because this is the one I'm going to take it live in. And then I'll just have to recreate those audiences. But man, we just created all those audiences in like what, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and we talked about everything. So like you can see how fast you'll be able to do it when you go into your own ads manager and get these set up, right? Just like boom, boom, boom. Get the email list, export it, go. Okay, so now here we're back. Can I just brag for a hot second? These are the ads that we set up last time together. We have 2 confirmed website purchases. They did come in the other end. And I set up this custom report here, which we won't have time to talk about today. But it basically shows that so far we've got 50 total link clicks, I believe it is. Yeah, 50 total link clicks, almost 1,000 people reached. You'll see that these numbers equate to more than 1,000 people, but the beauty is they're actually showing us the people who've seen multiple of the creative as just one single person. So this is the cost to get in front of 1,000 of those people. And then the link click-through rate varies from 0.85 all the way up to 216. Here's how much I'm paying to get somebody to the checkout. Remember, this is an $897 product, US, but this is a Canadian account. So you can see they do the automatic conversion for me. So the two purchases, one I bought for $22.98, and that was worth $1,213 Canadian on that day because it automatically converts. The other one I bought for $22.89, which I think is about like $17 US for that $897 sale. So that is the results that we've had up till this point. Hence why we need more people in the pipeline, because wouldn't you want to continue to get results like that? Like, I know I do. Hence why we're live streaming. So the next campaign that we're going to do once we click that create button over there is going to just be a leads campaign. Okay, so then I like to come down here and name my campaign all at once. So I'm going to say this one's going to be called, now my brain's like, I think I use the square brackets. I'm such a stickler for like whatever my naming conventions are. It has to be perfect across the board, because as somebody who manages a lot of different accounts who have had different ad managers in there, it gets to be a cluster sometimes. So like I'm really big on, okay, how can we make this as easy as possible to search something in the future? Using the like search and filter bar up here. So TSS, this one I'm just going to call leads. No, I'm just going to call lead. I don't use the plural on it. This one is going to be warm all. So in brackets, I always put the country. I put the temperature of the audience. So temperature, country, basically going to just leave it open to worldwide because I'm just targeting warm on this live stream. And then I'm going to put Taz, the ad strategist. And I'm going to put all again, which means I'm using all of the audiences that have the brand code, like every single one of them. So that is my naming conventions for this guy. And then what am I going to do here? Am I going to drop them all? Okay, let me stop for a second and let you in on my like thinking of like how my brain's trying to process through this. So what it's trying to think is, am I going to set up my ads, because we have what, 5 of the eternity ad to do? Am I going to set up a single campaign with multiple ad sets at a low budget each, that each have the exact same creative? So that's one way to think through it. Or am I going to create one campaign that has different audiences? Sorry, I messed up that first one. One campaign that's all the same audience with different creative. Is that what I said? Maybe I said that. Or am I going to do one campaign with the same audience? Nope. With different audiences with the same creative. Right? So I'm just flipping these. My brain's trying to think through like, what's going to be the easiest thing to do in there? You could also then question, like, this is what I love about ads is like, I've developed theories because I've tested the heck out of everything, right? So it's like, you could be like, hey, Bond, why don't you test one campaign, put your one audience in there, and then add a few creatives to that same thing and let Facebook decide like which of those creatives are the best. Cool. That's totally a way that I could do that. I personally like separating out the creative because I want to control the spend. I want to control, like, I want people to see all of the different creatives. And sometimes I find that when you use oh my God, I always forget the name of it. It's not CBO, campaign budget optimization. It's not ad set. Maybe it's just ad budget optimization. That's not a word. My brain is not braining right now. But like, basically when you let Facebook pick, hey, serve them one of these like 4 creatives that we have over here, they might arbitrarily choose one early that like looks like it's performing, but I found sometimes they keep serving up the one that has like a higher cost per ad because that's the one that they have inventory for. And so I just like to have a little bit more control over that part of the process there. Let me wipe that little flare that we had off the screen there. Will you create ads for each of these audiences to see which one gives you the highest ROI? No, I'm going to stack all these audiences together in this case. The more you separate out your audiences, like the more Facebook's going to charge you to get in front of them. The only time that I separate them, which I actually just did in another brand, we just launched the cookbook on Amazon. And so because I can't do purchase conversion to get sales over on Amazon, I'm testing link clicks, but they have an Instagram audience with like, once you take into account engagement and video views, that's in the millions. So I separated out Facebook and Instagram because I wanted to understand the click costs for each of those platforms. There is another way to do it. Like literally you could just put them all together and then go and look at the breakdown of like where they serve it on which platform. But for me, it was just easier to be like, I'm going to just duplicate it and only target these people because I want like, I don't know, I wanted more, what's the word? Not transparency. Like I just didn't want a single ad set to be able to deliver to Instagram or Facebook because then it might be like muddied or skewed based on their available inventory. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to separate it out. But typically for most of us, especially the internet marketers, like we just don't have big enough audiences to separate out everything individually. I used to do that and I used to teach that and I just realized it was jacking up my own CPMs. So I stopped doing it and I was just like, whatever, I'm just going to smash everyone together in the like best way possible, except if I'm doing like very dynamic moves, meaning you land on this page and I want you 6 days later to see that. Or you became a lead and then I wanted to nurture you with these 3 posts over the next 10 days. If that's the case, like my audiences are tiny as hell and I still put them in there because I was having this conversation with Robin Thompson today. I think you only need 20 people in the audience. He was saying that he heard you need 1,000 people, but man, I have 20 people audiences that run all the time. And so like that's when you start to get more granular is like when it's such a dynamic action, do this, then that. But basically the larger the audience that you have, the more Facebook can optimize, the less it's going to cost in the long run. If you do apps/sales calls, would that go under commit or close? I treat them, I treat an application and a sales call as commit because like they're going to then apply and or book a call, but typically they're not making, like they do have time to make a purchase decision after that call. So then what I do is I do the sales retargeting that we did last time and just like surround sound affect them, like world build around them. I think at one time I was running like 50 ad creatives for Clockwork once people had applied to the program, that they could then see testimonials, like different, hitting them on different angles, like sharing different stories. There was just so many creatives that surrounded that. And especially because it was a high ticket program, we could justify like literally following them around the internet everywhere after they applied. So that part was the close phase, like, that sales retargeting, but the application itself, we treated like lead generation. Then we have a question. Won't the ad sets compete with each other if they are the same audiences? Listen, I know a lot of people talk about this, but like, we're not spending at a rate that's so significant. Like a lot of this comes down the pipeline from people who are spending like $1 million a month or more on these audiences. We are not those humans. And so, I mean, we might be those humans. Hell, I would like to be those humans. And so like where I look at it from is, are the metrics, like, are we buying ads efficiently enough to give us a return on our ad spend, and do it in a way that customers come into our pipeline week over week, that builds us a business that's sustainable and doesn't require us to constantly show up on social media and like be a slave to the like Facebook algorithm, right? Like appease the Facebook gods all the time. If like that is more what I'm concerned with. And so I am a big fan of duplicating. If you find an audience that's working, a lot of us are typically not spending enough that it's really even going to compete, right? So it's like for a launch that I did in September, I think we were running like $400 or $500 per day to a lookalike audience. But that $400 or $500 per day to just that lookalike audience, and there was multiple other audiences that we were targeting. Like there was, I don't know, what is it, 2 million people in that lookalike audience in the United States. Like we were only running that ad for 10 days or something. So $4,000 over 10 days is not going to crack that audience. And I'm a fan of repetition. And the more we got in front of them, the more they were taking those actions. So it's like I would duplicate the hell out of the exact same audience, the exact same creative, and I would still hit the metrics that we were looking for. In that case, it was a $47 like event that upsold into a high ticket program of $10,000. And so the $47 event, I could spend up to $250 per purchase on average, which means when my retargeting comes over and gets me $50 sales, I can spend like $400 over here on colder traffic to get that average. As long as I'm hitting that average and those numbers are backing out like over the macro view, again, usually we're not spending enough to worry about cannibalizing our own audiences. It's really just about like going low and slow, like proving each step of the way, turning off the things that you might not think work, or like it might feel like it's not working. But like, I'll give you an example. Going back into the ad account here. I'm just going to click continue on this bad boy so that that sets up. Going back to this purchase here, if I went in and analyzed it and looked at this and been like, oh, it's been 2 weeks now, right? But these guys haven't given us any sales. And like, I don't know what else I would look at. This one has the highest cost per checkout initiated. Like maybe I should get those out of there. I mean, the grand scheme of things, I've spent $22 and I haven't generated a $900 sale. Like, cool, right? I'm going to continue to keep them on because what if, let's go down to the next layer here. Here's the 2 that didn't get a purchase and here's the 2 that did. What if somebody saw this, clicked it, but then actually saw this one, went back to the sales page and ultimately ended up purchasing? So just because of the way like Facebook attribution works, like again, in the big picture, if it is backing out and our ROAS is there and we're spending responsibly. So for me, like I really like to keep my ad spend lower than like, I like to keep it around the 10% mark for myself as a total marker of revenue. Now that does fluctuate. I can make those decisions whenever I want to, but like, that's how I think through the lens of things. So I would look at this and be like, $22 I've spent and I haven't got a sale. Well, shucks, that's okay. Maybe I will next week, right? And keep this guy going. If it then was like $500 and I didn't get a sale, and then I would start looking at these things of like, what am I paying per click? Right? And then I would still back it out to be like, what is a click worth when they click to this page? And if those economics still made sense, then I might continue running it regardless. If I got to $2,000 and I haven't made, a $900 sale on it, what do I do then? I just constantly keep asking and like reevaluating as I go. And I think that's the like art part of ad buying, right? Like there's the science, which is all the data. Then there's the art of the equation, which is really just being able to make the decisions that make the most sense. Like you are just creating a hypothesis and you're then testing against that hypothesis, and that hypothesis might end up being true or false. And that's okay. It's just ones and zeros. It's just data. And you take that data, and then from there, you can make different decisions. So then you would create a new hypothesis, test it, it comes out negative or positive, then that data creates the next thing. So like, that's more of the art of Facebook, is like, do you have a strategic reason to make that decision? If so, cool. Like keep running it, right? Like keep trying it, keep testing it as you go, because that is how you get better at everything there. Okay, so back into Ads Manager, my friends. We're going to keep that setup going. I'm just the queen of tangents, so if you guys give it to me, I'm going to give it to you. So here at the campaign level, oh, it's not even going to let me. Is it going to let me? Oh, it is. Okay. See, you can see some of my functionality is turned off. It won't let me use these buttons here, but it will let me use the edit underneath of it or the edit to the side of it. So I don't know what's going on. Again, we're waiting for this ad account to get turned back on. In the meantime, I'm just showing you how to set this up. So we touched nothing on this page here. We go down to the ad set level, and we're just going to confirm things. So we already named the audience. We're going to be generating website traffic. The conversion event in this instance is creating a lead. Now, let's talk a little bit about the daily budget, because as I was sharing, my theory is low and slow, right? Like I want to get humans into the pipeline at a reasonable rate. I'm going to start today just with my warm audiences. I want to see how those perform first. I want to put more humans into the sales pipeline, right? Like going over to the adstrategist.com/request-and-invite. Yes, I said on the last live stream that was a horrible URL and I just forgot to change it. So I got to make that note after this time. And then get people to go to the bro marketing article at the adstrategist.com and opt in to the end of it. But if I'm getting warm humans in the pipeline, currently, the last I looked, I think it was like 2 days ago, the conversion rate of those leads into the program right now for that sales process is, I think it was like 8.7% of people end up purchasing. And so those are typically warm audience people, right? So if I can get more of those people into the pipeline, my cash flow is going to increase, giving me more opportunity to come over here and buy cold traffic that can take a little bit longer to warm up, that can go through what I'm going to turn on next is the connect sequence, to just like bring people into that world and essentially get them to become warm audiences, so that when they opt in, they then are converting at, similar amounts. Because otherwise I could just blast the cold traffic right now, and what might happen is I may get like 1% conversion over here because these people don't know, like, and trust me. And again, you could totally do that. And if the numbers back out, like, by all means, there's no wrong ad strategies. Like, test the hell out of everything. I truly believe that. Like, there is nothing that I say and do that is law. I'm constantly testing against my own hypothesis as well. So if I see something in a Facebook group and somebody's like, oh, this is working really well, even if it's completely contradictory to everything I've said on this live stream, I'm in there testing it. And so I'm just sharing my own thought process as I've come to develop it, because it helps me calm my own ad motion. It helps me increase my cash flow. It helps my business maintain like profitability and like lower stress, because I'm not trying to put like a boatload of people who aren't ideal customers through the pipeline. So for budgets, this audience of website visitors, Instagram engagement, Facebook page engagement. Wait, how did I all of a sudden get to 4? Facebook page engagement, existing email list who hasn't been through this part of the sales process, video viewers, event responses. All of a sudden I realized I had, like, that size audience is likely going to be still under like 50,000 people or around 50,000 people. Cause I think my Facebook page said I've engaged with 55,000 people this year organically. So it's like, it's not going to be a huge audience. So for a budget, I'm going to still maintain like a reasonably low budget, because remember, friends, we are, oh shoot, I think I'm just sharing my screen. There we go. We are setting up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these, right? So it's like, I don't want to spend $20 because then I'll blow through that audience so fast. So you know what I'm going to do? Like, maybe I'm only going to spend $2. And you're like, Bon, $2? Friends, we spent $1 last time and I made $2,400 on the back end of that after $90 in spend, right? We don't need to be spending an ass load here to get those results. So we'll do $2. This is an eternity ad, so it's just always running in the background. And then here we would come and just add all of those custom audiences we created earlier. We cannot add them all here because remember, this is the banned ad account. So I'll come back and do that afterwards. At this point, I do like to exclude people who have become a lead. So we set this up the last time with the sales retargeting. We wanted to retarget our leads, but this time we want to exclude them because we don't want to pay for people who have already opted in, because there's no point trying to get them to opt into the thing that they've already opted into. Like, why would we just waste that budget there? So this one, we set up the website custom audience, and then we talked about the email custom audience, which tools like ActiveCampaign, I believe Zapier also can sync some of it. I know, oh my God, I'm forgetting the name of, Plus This was a tool back in the day that like could drop people into a Facebook audience based on their emails. So typically, a lot of my clients use ActiveCampaign. So then we just exclude the email addresses coming through ActiveCampaign who have already opted in. Then we are going to say, let's not reach people past this, right? Because if this was a cold audience, I would say, yes, like Facebook, do your thing, like use your AI bots, like algorithm, whatever the heck it is, go for it. But because this is a warm audience, I'm going to say, no, that's cool. Let's just keep to the warm audience. And then for me, I'm going to remove the country that's automatically selected. Whatever country you live in, that's the country it's going to automatically be selected. Now, if you have a specific age demographic that purchases, so the cookbook example that I used earlier, their purchase age starts like 45 and up. And I've tested this, right? So for me, it's just easier to go broad. Like sometimes I just say, hey, Facebook, target women primarily in the United States over 45. And that's the only criteria that I give it. And I'm like, and go, and it rocks it. But in this case, we're using our warm audience. So I just leave the age open, the gender's open, the language is open, add no extra detailed targeting. Now, I am a big fan of manual placements. I know Facebook really pushes advanced placements or Advantage Plus placements that they started calling it. Used to be automatic. But I had said this on the Facebook page, build one platform until you have the momentum you're looking for. Like I am not setting up Instagram ads today because I'm not active on Instagram. I have a world that I'm building on Facebook. I will focus on building that world until it's automatically churning out the results that I'm looking for. And then, and only then, will I consider going to a different platform and building a world over there, right? Don't diversify. We talked a little bit more about that in the last live stream as well. So I'm going to get rid of stories and reels. I'm going to get rid of all these additional placements here. And then for me, I am literally that asshole who goes in and like, I get rid of everything but the Facebook feed. You'll see in a minute why, based on the creative, but it'll make sense as to why I do that. You choose the placements that work for you. The only tip that I have is if you ever use the Facebook right-hand column, I always make this its own campaign because the CPMs for right-hand column, the cost to get in front of 1,000 people is like pennies compared to the cost to get in front of 1,000 people on the Facebook feed. Seriously, like I think the right-hand column, the last time I was running it, like, I don't know, it was like $4 or $8 to get in front of the same audience that was charging me like $80 in the news feed. So it's 10 times less. However, the click-through rate is also 10 times less than that as well. So when I run right-hand column and Facebook skews my delivery over to that placement, when I'm reviewing results, it makes it look as if the like the CPM is much lower than it is, and the click-through rate of the feed post is much lower. So I don't like the skewed data. I always put right-hand column in its own campaign so that I know, okay, this is just the right-hand column. So like any right-hand column placements, which I do love because they're cheap and people click and like they can get great results. You can get mad distribution from that placement. It just needs to be designed specifically for that placement. Otherwise, like it doesn't even make sense. Like you see some right-hand column stuff and you're just like, what? It like cuts off the headline. No, thank you. So that is all that we do on here. On the e-commerce side, I play more with the optimization and delivery, saying like, hey, I only want to spend this much to get a cookbook sale, but I don't on this side of the equation. So I'll come over here to the final layer, which is the ads level. I'm going to now open up my first post that has 304 link clicks with 4,100 reach. That was all organic, so I feel pumped about that. Going to open it up and show you guys the post. I think this is a recent one that I shared on my Facebook page. Yep. So from March 27th, so 2 weeks ago, this is my most popular article of all time. It's been read by more than 48,000 people. And get this, every time somebody clicks the link, my business earns an average of $11.05 as a result. I think it gets a lot of clicks because you guys are all voyeurs. The same way we all just want to know, oh, tell me about those monetary results. So I think that's why this has such a high click-through rate. We'll see how those leads back out if they turn into leads on the other side, because I don't track it from my organic, but Facebook will let me see who makes it through to the end and how much I'm spending per lead, to see which of us are voyeurs in the audience and if it's actually a solid piece of content to do. So coming down here, because I use proven content, I always just use, not always, but like I use existing post. And then I just wait till this guy pops up. As you can see, I highlighted right after posts here, the rest of the permalink. It used to be a 13-digit number. Now it's like a gajillion like string code here, but just copy and paste that. Let's wait till Zoom gets out of my way. Come over here, click submit, and it should show up. Yep. So boom. This is why I just use the feed, because there's no image. It doesn't look like a regular ad. I call these stealth ads, right? Because you see it just looks like it comes from my personal profile. And so I want to make sure like that makes the most sense. If you saw that in the video feeds, I don't even know if it would serve up in the video feeds. Right. So this is why I say like make the placement make sense with the content that you create. And if you don't know what placement makes sense, a tip that I have is literally just click Advantage Placements, come over here. It's now going to, let me get myself out of the way for just a hot second. It's now going to show you every other placement. And as you can see, most of them are going to be like, hey, Bonj, you don't actually have an image. So yeah, we can't turn this into an ad. But I already knew that, hence why I chose the one. It'll just give you these like yellow flags. So if you're like, I don't know what placement to choose, test them all and then like literally just start crossing off. Okay, not Instagram feed, not Instagram profile, yada, yada. So I'll come back over here, quickly get that all back to, what's it called? Manual placement? And then click these guys off. Boom. Okay, so then it should be back to what we want. Awesome. So now that we've done that, we would typically hit publish. And remember, once you hit publish, it takes on average anywhere from 15 minutes to 2 days to get into like get live and get through the approval process. If you hit publish and you come back out to the campaign level and it says like no ads, let me go back to the original view. If it says like no ads and you just set up an ad, it's just because if you come back to the ad level, it'll show that it's processing still. And so as soon as it's processing, it goes into approval. And so it's waiting in review. And so I believe it says in review over here as you wait for that. And then as soon as it goes live, this then turns active. I realized I didn't name this guy, so we'll come back over here and we'll name this something that is easy to remember. And I'll go, this one I'll call 1150 EPL. You guys know what EPL means? Pop quiz nose time. Earnings per lead if you don't, right? So, oh wait, no, it's not per lead, it's earnings per click. So I'll change that to EPC. So then let's say I decided, okay, I'm going to do this. This is just going to be my warm audience campaign. So then I'll come back here and I will just edit. I can't even edit it from there. There we go. I'll just edit it to add the name of the ad at that level. So when I'm looking at the like campaign level, it doesn't just say warm all Taz all like over and over again. It'll show me like, hey, this is actually the creative that's nested underneath of it. There are other workarounds, like you can set up a view that shows you what the name of the ad creative is in that view, but like that's just not one of the views that I typically use myself. So that is our first ad all set up. To duplicate it, well, it's not even, is it gonna let me duplicate it? It is. I just hit quickly duplicate. Once you get good at it, are you gonna let me duplicate it? Once you get good at it, like when I set up ads for launches, for example, I like literally hit duplicate, and then if there's like 12 variations that I'm creating, I'm like, I set up regular duplicate, right? And then it's like, how many variations do you want to make? I'm like 12. And then I just go in and like quickly do every single one all at once. So you could do that. I don't think it's going to let me. No, because that's why. Okay, so I'm in purgatory, so we cannot duplicate it. But essentially the process of duplicating would literally just be going like clicking the duplicate button, right? Yeah, it's not letting me do it. Clicking the duplicate button and then just going through the process of adding in this ad, the next ad, the next ad, the next ad, right? Until I had all 5 of them in there. And it would just take the exact same daily budget. So I'd be running $10 a day to these ads for the first little while. So that is the first one that I would set up. The second one would then be our recovery ads. I'm going to take a quick pause to see if you guys have any questions that I've missed along the way. Won't we need to use CTA buttons on those ads? Great question. So what Osmond's referencing there is, let's go back to sharing my screen real quick. We'll go desktop. What he's referencing here is that there was no, are we open? Yeah, there was no, what the heck was it just called? CTA buttons on those ads. No, because like I'm using a page post. And so once people click this link, they're moving through the process. And it's when they get to, page 6 here and they request an invite and they land on the thank you page, them landing on the thank you page from here is going to be what sends information back to Facebook to say, hey, this ad with this ad creative is the thing that generated a lead. So we actually don't need to use at all times the ones that are like, the rectangle images that have the headline, that have the button underneath. Now they have a place. I believe I'm about to use one. Actually, no, because we're not duplicating those, but let me find, I think it's this guy here. I think one of those examples looked like that. Let's wait till this bad boy loads right here. Yeah, so this guy looks like it's just missing the button. So this is typically what an ad looks like. But it doesn't need to have that. So I like using stealth posts because, again, they worked organically. They look more like they're coming from a friend versus a business. Do regular posts with the headline, with the button work? Like, yeah, they totally work. They totally have their place. And as I'm going out to cold audiences, like maybe that's something I'll continue to layer in and test more. But it's not necessary for us to get the information that we're looking for from Facebook. Summer asks, I have about 1,500 cold traffic warming for 4 to 6 weeks on an email sequence, but no sales. At what point, how long would you decide that traffic is the wrong traffic and switch your ads and or audience? Great question. My initial thought is that it's not a traffic problem. If you have 1,500 people that went in, like that gave you their email address, but nobody has chosen to make a purchase. It does sound like it's an offer problem more than a traffic problem. I can't diagnose those things without like knowing more context. And that's actually something that we teach within the strategy system. Like we have a dashboard that helps you like look at everything, and it lights up with not conditional logic, but like it lets you know, hey, like, do I need to focus on here or do I need to focus over there? Because like if 0 people are converting out of 1,500, 1,500 people said yes to whatever that first step was to give you their email address in the first place. So it's like you had to have said something that was resonating with them, but there's a disconnect between that moment and the moment of purchase that needs to be solved first. So for that instance, I wouldn't run any more traffic. I would really try and focus on like, what is the offer? How can I serve these people that are in my world? Because like they are taking those steps to get to that point, if you know what I mean, right? Like they're not, most people have the opposite problem. They like can sell things really well when it's them selling it, but like they don't know how to get people into their world. You solved the hard part. I mean, maybe it's not the hard part, everything's equally challenging, but you've solved the part of like, oh shoot, how do I get attention? How do I get my email list bigger? But what's not converting is like how you're communicating what you offer to those humans. So I would likely look at those guys first. Okay, now let's pretend I've duplicated this 5 times over, and we have 5 of these eternity ads all set up and rocking and rolling. The next thing I would do is repeat this process. I would go through and do leads. I might call this one TSS lead. I don't know. Sometimes I do just call them like what I name them in the program, like the recovery ad, right? That's cute. Or like the eternity ad. It's even cuter because I got a trademark on that shit. So like that's what I might call this one over here. But at the same time, like sometimes I'm just like, whatever, I'm gonna just call it lead retargeting. So I just whatever comes to mind. So then this would be warm. It would be all. And then I'm going to say anyone who hit the pages of the bro marketing article. So it would be the strategy system, because that is the product that sells at the end of it. I would do page view, and then I would do like bro marketing all or something. So some code like that. And then I would just go and create that ad again. Now, this time we need to create an audience that's like, ooh, I just clicked on the wrong guy there. We need to create an audience of people who, oh shoot, I'm not on the screen again. There we go. Of people who like went through all 5 pages or all 6 pages. So in Ads Manager, I would come back over to audiences. We know that I'm banned on audiences right now. And so let's swap over into this account. And then I would just create the recovery ad retargeting audience. So what did I call it? I called it TSS, the strategy system, page view, row marketing, all or something. So I like to keep my naming conventions as similar between like ad sets and audiences so that my brain knows like, hey, what if I look at that ad set in Ads Manager, like how do I know at a glance what's inside of it? So I would come here and this time I would say people who visited specific pages, right? And then I use this URL contains and I would go through and I would just copy this middle part of the slug, not the domain, not the HTTPS, not this like dash at the end. This is just my like personal preference way of doing it. And then I'll just hit enter. And then I will go to the next page and repeat that process. So if the first two pages have cute naming conventions, and then as soon as I get to number 3, it changes. So go back to go down to number 3. For you and your landing page, you might only have one landing page, so you wouldn't have to go through this process 6 times, right? So boom, boom, boom. Next one, I think the next one's like rise of bro marketing. The other one's like Facebook ad strategy. I would repeat that process all the way through. I'm not going to do it because I'll have to do it in my other ad account as soon as it gets back on the market. So I would create that audience. And then once that's done, I would just come back out into Ads Manager. And as I'm, wrong one. Oh, there we go. Come back out into Ads Manager. Then under retargeting, we would just go here, page view. So silly that I can't use that button, but I can use the other button. Do the same process. Website, conversion event. What was it, guys? It was a lead. Do a smaller retargeting budget because we have how many? 2 of these, but it's retargeting people as they move through the process. I might actually expand it and be like, you know what? People who are in my like Facebook warm audience too, to hell with it. Like, let's just send them straight to claim that invitation page. But I would want to like, before I do that, excuse me, I would go into the back end. I would look at my Google traffic to this page for this year. I would then look at the people who opted into this page and then the number of people who have the tag that they came from this page and ultimately made a purchase so that I could get the purchase conversion rate of this page versus this page. If this purchase conversion rate, because I have been talking about it on my Facebook page, is equivalent to this, then I would actually expand my targeting past just the people that landed on the bro marketing article, right? Like, what did we call it? Like Taz page view. It's not going to pop up because it was obviously the other account, but like it wouldn't just be that. Then it could be like, okay, I'm actually going to retarget with the recovery ad more people because that entry point for me like performs well. I have in my other like ad account, which I have to be sending a lot of traffic for these other ads to start serving up. But what it is if you land on page 1, I actually retarget page 1 to say, hey, come back and keep reading on page 2. And it's all like contextual and makes sense of like where you left off in the process. But I'm typically not sending that much traffic on any day that those fire at like a really reliable pace. So even if I'm only spending $1, remember I'm Canadian, so I have to spend $1.50 to get an ad to serve. If I'm only spending if I'm spending $1.50, I'm usually paying like 25 to 50 cents to sometimes $1 just to get an impression on those people. So you do have to ask yourself, like, is it worth it at the end of the day to actually like retarget that granularly if you're not sending a boatload of people through the process? So for me, it's like prove a little small segment over here Once that's proven, add more over here. Ooh, once that's proven, add more over here. Once that's proven, turn the floodgates on, which like I've had members in the program that tried to go straight to balls to the wall. The level of spend that I like to call balls to the wall, where you think you're going to go from like $1,000 a month to like $1 million a month overnight. And for me, my nervous system just cannot handle that level of stress. Is just too much for my nervous system to be able to take there. So the last thing that I would do, like once those ads are set up, is just the same thing that I did before of getting that ad creative. Of course, I've used my method of pulling proven content that you've already like got clicks from social media. If you don't have proven content, you would just create an ad at that level and then duplicate it until all of them were live. I will keep you guys posted on when Facebook gets back to me on when that specific account is going to be ready to rock, and I can get those back on, because I want to put the whole system live in one ad account so that you guys see the stacking on top of each other over X amount of time to be able to like troubleshoot, right? Because like there's going to be a point where, oh shoot, the cold traffic isn't actually converting to sales, and like my ROAS is dropping. Like that is a real part of the process. And there's a lot of people out there that just pretend ads is like always just roses and, sunshine and roses. What is that? Sunshine and rainbows. But really what media buying is about is, like I said before, analyzing the data, creating the hypothesis, from that, waiting for the results, looking at it, was it positive or negative, using that data as just ones and zeros to make different decisions moving forward. And we can do that in like a less stressful way when we just slowly stack things on top of each other, to be able to be like, oh, okay, this part of the process is proven. This part of the process is working. But the beauty of it is it creates this like world building surround sound effect where you are just like absolutely everywhere to the people who are engaging with you. So like your relevance to that pocket of people skyrockets in the meantime, because you're showing up over and over again to the people most likely to take action, to the people moving through your sales process. And like once that happens, like I always use I feel like nobody used the analogy back in the day, but everyone uses it now. Like, let's pretend this is a bucket and your bucket has holes in it, and like you got a leaky bucket, but you're trying to pour more water into the top. And of course it's not filling up because it's just leaking out everywhere. This process, like going the low and slow, like setting it up backwards, starting with the end in mind, making sure it's converting into customers first. Like when you do that, then when you start pouring water into the bucket, like it keeps more of that profit and revenue for you. And it's easier then to media buy from a place of abundance and overflow than, oh my God, I need to make this work. I need to make this work, or my company's going to shut down, or I'm not going to pay this. And like you guys, if you don't know this about me, like my big vision, even for my own business, is literally not to scale my course to the moon. Like I enjoy the creation of it. I enjoy these sessions. Like I enjoy the knowledge transfer, but like for me, I am not necessarily a coach. Like the coaching process is very arduous for me. I look at myself as like a scientist, right? Who's like always out there testing new theories and then coming and sharing them with the world. But my revenue that I create in this business, I actually take this revenue and then I go invest it into other assets that are cash flowing, that are equity building, so that I'm not constantly chasing like the next dollar from the Facebook advertising machine, like day in and day out. So for me, it's really important to do it low and slow, be very responsible with ad spend, prove everything every step of the way before cranking this up over here, because it's not just about, you could spend 70% of what you make on your product, your offer on ads. Like you could spend a ton, right? Like, and lose all your margins in the process. But that's not the game that I'm playing. That's not the game a lot of you are playing. So for us, it's really about, how do I media buy efficiently, strategically, smartly, in a way that brings cash flow into my world so that I can be a better steward of that cash flow and put that into other tools that have, less risk adversity to them. I don't think that's a word. Would you call it a risk adversity? Like other tools that are less risk averse, maybe that's how you say it. Like real estate, like investing in other businesses, like, exchange traded funds in the stock market, like other things that can grow and pay you dividends and give you cash flow to set up a life that it's like, man, well, what if I didn't want to sell my course forever, right? Like, what if I did want to just like disappear and be a human that lives in the woods and chop wood all day and make my fires? Like, that's also a possibility. So that is the lens and the vantage point that I think through as I'm doing all of this. But also at the same time, when you have these skills, like I have clients that are like, I want to make $1 gajillion tomorrow. And I'm like, game on, let's play that game. Because it's a very different game than I personally play. But these tools of learning media buying, of learning how to run ads, of learning about the 3 phases and dynamic audiences and, stacking like things on top of each other, of extracting the most value from our warm audiences before moving on to cold, like all of those are tools that will serve us so well in business. So, oh my God, that was a long one. Hope it was a good one for you guys. Hopefully now you know how to turn attention into hot leads and happy customers so that you can do it on autopilot and get people into your course, membership, high ticket offer, coaching program, e-commerce business, bricks and mortar business, like whatever it is. I hope you can get more customers coming into your pipeline using this process. If you have any questions and this live stream has ended, if you have them now, obviously drop them in. But if this live stream has ended, feel free to drop them below the video and I will come back and get to those. If you guys know that your right next step is to jump into the strategy system, you can actually come on over to this page here. It's probably just easier if I show you the page because you guys know how dumb I made this URL. It is the request-and-invite. I'll pop that under the video for the people who are here live with me. I believe it's at the top of the chat pinned there. Or you could go through the entire bro marketing article just by going to theadstrategist.com. If you're not ready to jump into the program, I know people have said that they've gotten so much value just out of going through this entire article from start to finish and really thinking through their strategic game plan for their entire business. So definitely check out those resources. We'd love to have you inside the program. I would love to be celebrating with you as you guys launch your first money test. So in module 3, we launch a 5-day test that targets some warm, some cold audiences to actually prove and back out your ROAS to make sure like, hey, am I going to be profitable if I spend more money on this thing? Because if you're not going to be profitable, like I don't endorse what most people say of like, you're just not spending enough money yet, right? Like, it's like, no, if you're spending money, you're getting leads into the pipeline and those leads aren't converting to customers. Like we've got some things to work on and it's okay to pause the ad spend and go work on those things. It's okay to like get in the trenches and ask your audience about, why they're not jumping into your offer and doing that deep dive with them to like treat them like the humans they are to be able to serve at your highest value, right? Like the only way that I'm able to get, what did I say? It was like 8.7 or 8.9% conversion rate from our leads this year into customers is because I spent 5 years going through that process. So that when I turn on these ads, like every part of the ecosystem is doing its job. But the beauty, like I said, is that it can do it in the background for me because Mama's about to pop out a baby in 2 months. And these little workers, these little ads are going to be continuously bringing people into my world and my pipeline as I'm home hanging out with this bundle of joy whenever it comes, whenever it decides to come. We call it the little nugget. So whenever a little nugget decides to come, I'm going to have more time for that. I'm going to have a system that's working for me in the background, that's highly automated, that doesn't require human resources, right? Like it's just me and Facebook. And once these are on, because we use such low budgets, they can continue to run infinitely, right? Indefinitely. I think that's the word I wanted. Indefinitely. That's why they're called the eternity ad, because it's not about scaling them to the moon. It's just this low and slow hum, this engine churning in the back end of your business that is just delivering you leads every single day who are the most warmed up and primed, ready to purchase your offer. So hopefully you guys really enjoyed this process. If you hadn't watched the sales retargeting live stream that we had done a few weeks ago, you should find that here somewhere on the channel. It's probably above me. No, if you're watching the video itself, I was going to say, if you're on the main channel, it's above me, but you wouldn't be seeing the video playing while you're on the main channel. But just hop back to the main channel under the live stream tab, and I'll also link it under the video here, because that shows you how to set up those sales retargeting ads where I was spending $1 and getting $27 back. And now you know how to keep putting more people into the pipeline so that you keep getting those sales coming into your ecosystem. Man, every single day, right? That's a dream. So I'm so happy you're here. Thank you for joining me live. Thank you for everyone who watches the replay. I love and appreciate every single one of you.